What is this?
The little girl was healed
2 years ago, she had club feet. She's had club feet all of her life.
You've just had a goiter dissolve?
She was in a
How long
wheelchair
have you had your goiter?
all this summer, and it's just worried me to death.
And is she related to you?
She's my daughter. She's 12.
And she was healed of what?
Club feet, severe club feet.
Where?
2 years ago at the Civic Center. We went to the hospital at
When
Shreveport,
we were here in Tulsa 2 years ago?
Shreveport, Louisiana. We went back there, and the doctor said she had 2 bones added to each foot. He didn't know how they got there from the operation. The
Here in Tulsa.
X-ray showed 2 extra bones added to her feet. That he didn't understand how the bones were added to the feet. She had no more pain. No more pain.
And she had club feet?
Severe club feet. And now she
She was born with the club feet.
severe. They said her feet were turned completely up and hardened.
So sometime during the service, when we were here 2 years ago,
She was healed.
and you went back to the doctor, and the doctor said 2 more
Bones
bones.
were added to her feet 2 years ago.
I can prove to you that I have nothing to do with these miracles. This is the first time I've known about this. This is God. Walk across there, honey, and and her feet are just perfect. And she
my
was,
growth's gone now, today.
dear Jesus, every trace of this goiter goes. Go on, and give God all the praise. There's so much is happening over here.
Today I'm going to be talking to you about 14 Minutes with Kathryn Kuhlman. And what I'm doing here is giving you 14 minutes worth of her seeing people on stage and talking to them about what has been a healing, how she deals with it, how they deal with it. And I want to help you understand what I see when I study different ways that people get healed. The first thing I want to say is I'm only going to deal with one case at a time, at least at first, because I thought I'd do all 14 minutes all at once, but I'm finding that I have pages and pages and pages for each person, and I just don't have the time to deal with everybody, so I'm going to do one person at a time. And this first lady presents to us 2 different healings that took place within the last 2 years. First of all, what is stated is this, that her daughter had severe club feet. Now, a brief side here, most club feet have nothing to do with bones. And I'm saying most, which leaves the possibility that there are some that do deal with bone problems and bone issues. Evidently, this lady believes that that is the case with her daughter. She was in a wheelchair, her daughter was, and that was mentioned during a Kathryn Kuhlman over talk. Kathryn Kuhlman talks over people quite a bit, and in this case you will see over and over again, or you saw already over and over again, Kathryn Kuhlman is talking while the lady's trying to talk, and this is very much Kathryn Kuhlman's way of controlling her stage and controlling what is said from the stage. So during that time, it was hard to hear, but the lady did say her daughter was in a wheelchair. The lady implied that she was at a Kathryn Kuhlman crusade 2 years previously at the Civic Center. She doesn't say where. Kathryn Kuhlman will tell her over and over again, Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? And she didn't even say right, she just says Tulsa, Oklahoma, implying and making sure the audience understands it was her crusade where the healing happened and where that healing took place. There is an operation mentioned that by the lady. Her daughter had an operation. Her daughter went back to the hospital. I'm understanding this. She didn't say when she went back to the hospital, but I'm understanding this to be that after the crusade, she went back to the hospital. She also mentions that the doctors did not know in the hospital, the doctors did not know how, a doctor anyway, did not know how 2 bones got into her feet. Also mentioned is there's no more pain. We can see from the video that this girl walks well, so we know something happened. The time frame here is not really clear. Kathryn Kuhlman tells her that it happened implies, oh, this happened at, and she pushes her to say it happened in my crusade 2 years ago. But the lady never comes out straight out and says that. She shakes her head, but she might just be nervous. She did a lot of shaking her head at responses, and there is huge shaking her head. It's not just a little nod. And she will be talking about something totally different than Kathryn Kuhlman. It's almost like, okay, let me talk here, Kathryn. I don't know what's going on. Now, when the operation happened is not mentioned. Did it happen before going to Kathryn Kuhlman? Did it happen after? We don't know. We don't know if this girl was in foot braces. We don't know how long she was in the wheelchair. There's all kinds of unknowns here. Now, Kathryn Kuhlman directs the conversation. You will see, and you have seen, if you go over it again, you can see this even more clearly now. She directs her conversation to the crusade in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2 years previous to that. At the same time, the lady is talking about Shreveport, Louisiana hospital. So that's where the big disconnect comes. That's where there's a lot of talking over each other. And the lady doesn't seem to hear Kathryn Kuhlman or seem to pay attention to or care about the 2 years previous in the auditorium with Kathryn Kuhlman. She seems to be focusing much more on the doctor telling her that there's 2 bones there. Kathryn Kuhlman introduces information not mentioned by the lady. Kind of puts words in her mouth. Kathryn does this quite a bit with people on stage. I shouldn't say quite a bit, but I've seen it several times. Kathryn mentions, oh, she's born with club feet. Now, that is an assumption. I would assume the same. Not a big matter. Sometime during the Oklahoma service, the girl was healed. That Kathryn Kuhlman stated. The woman never mentioned that. She nods her head again, but she doesn't say anything about that. So once again, is she nervous? And there is something that called peer pressure where you just kind of play along with the person on stage. So I don't know. I'm not going to say either way on that one. She might be saying yes. The lady nods for both the fact that she's born with a club feet and the fact that it happened during the Oklahoma service. And it might be that it happened after the service, before the service, or whatever, but because she was in the service, the lady probably saw and could very well have seen the event took place during the service. Quite a few people will do that. They'll give glory to the healer when in fact they were already being healed, or a doctor helped them heal, etc., etc. That's a possibility. All right, so let's go through the scenarios. If what she's saying is true, that there are 2 bones added to her feet, it is a miracle, number one. It is a solid 100% miracle. Whether it happened in Kathryn's crusade or whether it happened during that time period, doesn't matter. It is a miracle. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, I cannot, and neither would anybody, say that this was anything short of a miracle. A placebo cannot produce bones. Giving credit to God for medical and natural work is the next possibility. It could be that the doctors had done a fantastic job of helping to reform her feet, and nature and the body will take care of the rest and help her to heal up properly. And that could very well have happened. The doctor said something to the lady that the lady misunderstood and thought, oh, he said that there's 2 bones, and that happens as well. So number one, it could be a miracle. Number two, it could be that she just misunderstood her doctor and that there was a natural and a medical work that was done. Fabrication is the third possibility. So miracle, it could be medical, it could also be a fabrication. Do you remember several years ago there was this Colorado man who made a huge balloon, and the balloon escaped, and he called 911 and said his boy is missing and the balloon is up there in the air, And everybody assumed that the boy was in the balloon. And after hours and hours and hours of TV coverage throughout the whole nation and very deep concern, everybody praying and everybody very concerned about this poor boy up in the balloon lands and there's no boy in it. So now everybody's worried, where did the boy go? Did he fall out? It turns out during one of the interviews that the father is having with some TV station that the boy says, "Dad, I was up in the attic. You told me to go there in the garage the entire time." It turns out the father, to get national attention for a TV show he wants to do in the future, to get national attention, he does this prank, not realizing it would backfire and not make him a hero, but rather a zero. I hate that expression. No, it would ruin him to the point where he just wished he could have his normal life once again, because he couldn't. Everybody hated him in the whole nation for doing what he did. There are people who will do that. There's also what Mayo Clinic calls in the medical world factitious disorder. Now, let me read to you what the Mayo Clinic says. Factitious disorder is a serious mental disorder in which somebody deceives others by appearing sick, by purposely getting sick, or by self-injury. Factitious disorder also can happen when family members or caregivers falsely present others, such as children, as being ill, injured, or impaired. It's this woman got this disorder called factitious disorder, where she's presenting to the audience that her daughter had club feet when in fact she never did. I don't know, but that's the other possibility. The last possibility that I'm looking for is the possibility of exaggeration. Exaggeration happens a lot on stage. Kathryn Kuhlman admitted it in an article, as did Benny Hinn. People exaggerate their pains. People exaggerate their diseases. Follow-up studies also reveal this. In one case where 23 people were studied by a doctor who worked with Kathryn Kuhlman for a few days, he got names from Kathryn Kuhlman of 23 people, and he went to their doctors and he followed up for several months. And in one case, and this is happening in several of the cases, but one case that I remember in particular, a woman is on stage saying that I've just been healed in your crusade by late-stage cancer. So following up and talking to the doctor says, no, she was not in late-stage cancer. She has cancer, but it's under control right now, and we're not that concerned about it. Well, I understand that a doctor is going to be far less concerned about something like that than somebody who's going through it. And in her own mind, though, she's probably seeing this as a lot bigger than it really is. And so this could also be happening, that she's just exaggerating something that's going on. It might be that she's gone through medical help and the doctors helped her, and she sees signs that God has been working in this, and she exaggerates how much and what's been going on. She gives all the credit to God and some credit to Kathryn Kuhlman, but in reality, all she's doing is exaggerating. So I'm just going to conclude the first part by saying that it could be a miracle. It could be misunderstanding what the doctor said. It could be fabrication, or it could be exaggeration. At least those are the areas that I'm looking for. There might be other territory, other areas. And if you know of anything else, please let me know in the comments below. Secondly, she talks about her goiter, not quite as much as she talks about her daughter, but she also talks about her goiter. And what she says about the goiter is it worried her to death. And she also says that it dissolved during the service. Now, that is very specific. During the service, during the Kathryn Kuhlman service, it dissolved. She had it all summer, and it worries her to death. All right. I looked for a visible sign, either of a goiter or the lack thereof. I can't see one really clearly because the quality of this video is not really clear, for one. But for two, not all goiters are huge, monstrous things hanging from the throat. Some are very difficult to see from the onlooker's view, and she's only had it for a few months. So I did see, however, something it looks like in this poor quality video, like something's moving around in her neck. Don't know. I'm going to say that unfortunately is not clear enough for me to give a verdict one way or the other. The question is, what is going on? Is it a miracle? It could be. Let's start out with that. Okay, some of you will say it's a miracle. Let me know down below. Secondly, it could be the placebo effect, in effect. Something happening with expectation and authority, the voice of an authority, and the desire to be healed, and all those mix together and create all kinds of chemicals within the brain which shut out pain and create feelings in certain parts of the body. And so it could be a placebo that she just feels like it's gone, but it's really there still, and she'll find out the next day or maybe even hours later that it's still there. It could be a fabrication. Maybe this lady just likes making up stories and getting attention. Okay, it's a possibility. It could also be an exaggeration, but it could also be a confession. Many Christians have gone through the charismatic teachings that you have to confess in order to be healed. You have to say you're healed, even though you're not healed. I look for that also when I look at all of these. I see, are people just saying they're healed when they're really not? Because they're trained and taught by poorly supported scriptures, and many scriptures, but all poorly supported and way out of context, all of them, to build this huge teaching and doctrine, which is simplistic. It's easy to understand. Unfortunately, it does a lot of damage, far more damage than it ever does any good. So she might just be up there saying, I am healed. It happened right here because she wants to be healed. All right, those are the possibilities. I can go over that once again. It could be a miracle. It could be a placebo. It could be a fabrication. It could be exaggeration. It could be a confession. What do you think? Are there other things I'm not seeing, not looking for that I should be? This is Ted Olson. If you want to get deeper and deeper into all this stuff, go to tthought.com. All right, have a fantastic day, and may God bless you.